Okay, so he is out of the oven, and now we got to put a beard on. So I have some white just rolled into a ball, and I'm going to begin by patting him down. Pulling up the corners. This is going to go kind of up to the ears. It's cute. Ah, it's cute. It is cute. I want to get it as close as I can before I stick the liquid clay on it. It's kind of how I wanted it. Okay, so let me grab some liquid clay and we'll stick it on just to make sure it stays well. And then really it's just fiddling with it to get it to be what you want. Oh, he just hit the floor. Let's see. Other than dirt on him. Oh, he just hit the floor. Oops. Well, that happens. I was gonna have to wipe your beard off anyways, but it definitely didn't have that much dirt on it. It's definitely going to take some fiddling to get it to where I want it. It's okay if it's got lint and stuff on it. Just take the alcohol to it right before you're done. Oh, yeah. Where'd that blue come from? So let me finish fiddling with this off camera. You can have his beard as big or as little as you want it. I mean, that's really pretty much all up to you. You can have it wrap around the sides if you want, but I'm not really doing that kind of creature. So I'm going to keep fiddling with the shape of it. And then when I'm done, I'll probably add some just light texture to it. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. And then I'll probably do a belt as well. Just because I feel like he does need something down here. Yeah, let me keep fiddling with him and I'll be back. Okay, so this may totally not be the style you're going for, and it wasn't initially, but actually I started carving away with my knife. And it kind of looks like a wood carving to me more, this part. So I think I'm going to leave this texture. I really wish I knew where my blades were right off the top of my head, because I could use a new sharper one. right off the top of my head. So I was doing this off camera because I like to hold it closer to my face, but when I do that, it doesn't focus very well. So pretty much I'm just shaving little bits off just to get some weird kind of texture on it. But I actually started to like that look. I was going to smooth it back out with my finger, which you totally could do. Pat it all down. But I actually might end up leaving it like that. I may end up leaving it something like this. Now I do like the smaller little strokes rather than these big longer ones, so that's why I was going back through and kind of making littler marks, because I kind of like that look better. I don't know, it just looks like chiseled wood to me. But again, you can have it nice and flat and smooth. You could put lines in it to make it look like hair. You could have rolled out like tiny little snakes and put them on, you know, to make it look like hair. I mean, you can really do this tons and tons of different ways, however really you want to do it. It's all personal preference, you know. And if I say I were to do it again, I'd probably do it differently next time too. It's really just whatever floats your boat at the moment. So I'm going to keep playing with it. I'll show you right before I bake it once I'm happy with it. Again, do whatever you please. And then I will bake this so I don't get lint on it and stuff. And then I'll make a belt. And I think we'll put him on his background. You never know, I could pop some boots underneath him. I don't know. I might do a light wash with paint and give him some rosy cheeks. You know, a really thin down acrylic paint. Or even you could probably do alcohol ink, really thin down. Or actually, I have a really pale pink color. Could give him some rosy cheeks if I wanted to. Yeah, I'm going to keep sculpting that. And then when I'm happy with it, I'll show you, and then I'll get him in the oven. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I just wiped everything with a little bit of alcohol. But I like the texture of it. It does. It totally reminds me of a wood carving. Which, if I would have thought of that to begin with, I kind of would have done everything in that style. Maybe not the face, but like I would have done that to the hat and the shirt and everything. I think it probably would have looked cool. You could make it look like literally like a painted wood carving. Okay, so I'll bake that again for just enough to firm it up, 15-20 minutes. And then I'll get it pretty much almost done, I think. I think I will put a belt on him with a little buckle. And then I think he'll be done. So with the belt bake on that, I'll do, you know, like 45 minutes with the final bake. But other than that, I think pretty much he is done. And looking cute, if I do say so. I think he looks cute. And then I'll stick him, I think, on this background. Just cut him out, and that should be hopefully solid enough for my base. Should I put him on now? If I had like a big oval cutter, that would work well, but I don't. Or you could do a square if you have a bigger veneer that you're putting it on. And I can also trim some of this background later once it's baked with my Dremel. I can go around and kind of shape it a little bit, but now his hat's not center, so it's not gonna look centered on here. I'll drill a hole somewhere up there. I'm filling in any of the lower indents with some liquid clay or bacon bond. And I think I'm going to write down here 2019 maybe in some silver, either paint or could do paint, or I could do embossing powder. Yeah, I like that background. I think it'll be cute. Okay, so we bake that, and I don't mind these little crackles down here. Yeah, let me bake it. Okay, so he's out of the oven. And what I've done so far is I just took a little black, rolled it out on a setting 5, so a thin setting, and just cut a little strip. And I'm just going to rub the edges a little bit just so they're not such a sharp cut. We're going to make a belt. Now the other thing is I want to do the buckle, and I have this white gold glitter or yellow gold glitter still. So I think what I'll do is I'll put half on, make a little belt buckle. Do I want to put the belt buckle on top of that, or do I want to set? Yeah, let me cut a little square. I don't have any mini square cutters. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect. Let yourself be a little free. Just create something cute. We're not going for photorealism, you know. So my thought was either, okay, so I take this and I either set it on here, or I cut half and half. Actually, that doesn't look too bad, does it? And set it in between the two so it's all flush. But I think that actually looks kind of cute like that. So let's set this down in. Oops. I was going to put some bacon bond on, but guess not. I'm just curious. I have this really, I'm thinking in my head of what I have. I have this really, really pale alcohol ink. Let me see if I can find it. This salmon. I wonder if that will give me a nice pinky cheek tone. Maybe I'll put it on with a little Q-tip. What does this have on it? Oh, this has wax on it from the other day. So it's the Ranger Salmon color. I wonder if that will just give me a pink highlight for his cheeks, because it's super pale. Need some alcohol. Can you see that? I don't know if you could see that well, but just give him a little pinky. It's very light though, but that's kind of what I wanted. I didn't want it bright enough to be noticeable. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, now the only other thing is to decide if I'm going to put boots on or if I'm just going to leave him as he is right now. So I'm going to do a quick little... No, I think I'm going to leave him. The only other thing I would do... So let me move my alcohol inks. Let me also put this piece of black away. Let me grab some clay. I think what I'm going to do is write 2019, so I'm going to take a piece of clay here. And I have some silver mica powder. So I think what I'm going to do is roll out a really skinny little snake and roll it in some mica powder. And, you know, write 2019 down here. We'll see how hard that is. Now I'm gonna need some liquid clay because, or Bacon Bond or something, because with the mic, hardly at all. Now this gold instrument, I know I mentioned it in another tutorial, but these are dental tools. So these are made by gum. Actually, no, Sunstar. They're dental interproximal cleaners, they're called. It's a gold handle gum stimulator. If you go to your dentist, next time you go, just ask them if they have a gold handle rubber tip, because they may have one. You can also search them on Amazon, gold handled rubber tips, gum stimulators. Just search a couple different things because I bet you can find them a lot cheaper. I've seen some clay people selling these for a lot more than they actually should be. I mean, we give these free to our patients, so if there are people that need them. So definitely check some different stuff out. Actually, that end's too skinny. So I just rolled it in the mica. Now this may be a little hard to do on camera. You see it? Just kind of let the clay do its thing. So it might have just switched files. Sorry, it might have glitched out for a second. It's my phone will only record for 30 minutes straight. So it might have just switched files. Remember guys, this is homemade, not manufactured by a machine. So then this will be my final bake, which I'll probably do for like 45 minutes because every other part was baked really quickly, which is fine. Like the hat's probably got a good, you know, hour and a half baking on it already, but the other parts, like the beard's only got 20 minutes on it. So I'll probably do a good 45 minutes just to be positive everything's baked at least an hour, which is what I tend to do to make sure my clay is nice and strong. Where did that little blue thing go? I just want to try to wipe off any of the remaining liquid clay I had on there because you'll see it. So I'm going to take that little spongy tip thing and put some alcohol on it. And my background definitely got more blue, but it was a translucent scrap veneer. Now you could just use silver clay if you wanted to. You don't have to do the mica thing, because if you say you buff your mica with your Dremel, it'll come off, you know, because it's just on the outside of these, of the clay. So you might also want to seal it with a little varnish or whatever. I'll probably use the, I can't ever say it, the Liquix matte varnish. I'll probably just take a fine paintbrush and just paint on there just to seal it in well. You could have also done gold like the belt, actually move this 9 up because I might trim the bottom of this a little bit. Just like that. And then so like I said, I'll bake it. We'll drill a hole. I'll trim around the edge just to make it more of a uniform edge. And there's my mother-in-law's little gnome. Not too bad for my first gnome ever, if I do say so. I'm okay with that. That's kind of, hang on, I got liquid clay on my table I need to get off. I mean, that was my drawing. So, I don't think it's very far off from my drawing. No, I'm pretty happy with it. It's kind of what I intended. So again, I'll bake it. When it's done, I'll come back. We'll trim the edge. I'll probably put a little varnish on the 2019, maybe try to clean off a little more of the mica down in there. But overall, I think I'm pretty happy with them. I don't do double-sided ornaments. Some people say, I mean, I was told on my Facebook page you have to do double. I don't think you have to do it. I've bought ornaments that were one-sided, especially if you put a hook on it. It doesn't need to spin. I mean, I've had this one hung up on my thing and it has not spun around once because it's on a metal hook. So if you hang it in a tree, it should be able to sit right on a branch. Now also, that's why I'm also not making it too big, because I don't want it to be huge, you know, so tall. From the top to the bottom, this guy's 4 inches. From side to the base to here, the base is 4 inches. My guy is 3. From there to there is 3. From there to there is 4. The side of my guy on his widest part is probably right here. Ooh, I gotta be careful because that's still raw. Is about 1 3/4 from here to here. But the base is, what, 2.5 from there to there? So it's pretty small. It's not big. It might look big, but it's definitely not big at all. Not big at all. So I'm gonna bake it. So my little guy's out of the oven and done. What I've done was I don't care if the edge is super symmetrical or like the shape of this. I'm totally okay with how it is. But it was a little rough. So I took one of these sanding barrels and I just trimmed up the edges and then just smoothed it up with my orange wheel. Now, I did rebuff up this, and I buffed up the belt a little bit. I did not sand anything. I just used my buffing wheels. Now, I do want to talk to you just real quick about buffing wheels, because I had a lady the other day, or someone on my Facebook page, said they're getting a dullness, not actually a shine. So when you're using your buffing wheels, you're not putting tons of pressure. One, having a decent set of buffing wheels is important, and I've tried different brands. This brand, it comes in a pack with the orange and the white, is my favorite, but try out different ones. I'm not like promoting anything. I'm just saying these are the ones I like. I always start with my orange because I find it can get me a higher shine. This might also help. A person also posted that they sanded off their mica. There is a little mica in this clay, and you can bring it out a little bit. So you're not pushing into it. You're using light pressure, because if you push too hard, you're going to make it dull. Also, I find having a variable speed Dremel helps. The high-low one that just has a high and a low, the high is really high and the low is almost too low. So I like that mine's variable speed because then I can adjust it. But when you're doing this, if you push too hard, Let me do it and get it to do it. See, you're going to get a spot there. That's not really what you want. If you happen to do that, you want to start at that pressure and then lighten up. And you'll bring the shine back. But you have to, I'm literally barely, I'm just using the weight of the Dremel. It's resting in my hand. That's the pressure I put. Just a light, literally just, I'm not pushing at all. It's just gently gliding it over. Okay, and obviously this is not sanded or anything, so it's not going to help. But just a very gentle pressure is all you're not pushing. Let the weight of the Dremel do it, just lightly. You're not trying to sand with this, which you can do, but you're not trying to sand. You're just lightly buffing, not sanding, buffing lightly. I'm not pushing at all. See, it's just kind of resting in my hand. That's all I'm doing. Letting the weight of the Dremel do the work. Okay. So I did the little guy with the orange, and then I went back over it with my white one because that gives a finer buff. And so now he is just about done. So I have a hook here that you would use for regular ornaments. You buy these anywhere at the dollar store, Walmart, wherever. But I also think, hang on, I'm going to grab some glazing. So I'm going to have to glaze that 2019 as well, but I'll do that after I drill my hole. So I'm going to use a pin drill or a hand drill, the same one we use all the time for any of my pendants. This drill I got on Amazon. It was pretty cheap. I don't usually buy really expensive things because I really can't afford it. So most of my stuff on Amazon is fairly inexpensive, but this one actually works well. I don't buy the cheapest of the cheap, but I don't buy the most expensive of the expensive. I generally start out with the smallest bit I have, and these bits all come with it. But you want to start off with one of your smallest bits, and that way you don't risk cracking your piece. This one just opens and closes by twisting this part here. Makes it smaller and bigger. And this one's really easy to change the bits, super easy. So I'm going to start with my smallest one, and I'm going to try to find the center of this top, which I think is more like here. Let me just put a little scuff mark in it. That's what I usually do. I make like a little tick mark in it so I can kind of then look and see. And I'm actually going to put it a little lower because I want a pretty big hole. And then there's no resin on this. This one's going to take a second to drill through. Won't take very long at all. Boom, through. That's about the same size. And then just go up through your sizes. It shouldn't take very long, especially with this pin drill. You don't have to, I've seen other ones where you have to take this outer casing off, then you have to put the bit in, and then put the outer casing back on. I was like, I don't want one of those. I've seen another YouTube artist when she once showed how she takes it apart. Or she has two because it's such a pain in the ass to take apart. Whereas this one, I just went through 3 sizes of bits, like absolutely nothing. It really doesn't take long. To drill your sizes. And you would think it would be hard to drill through polymer clay until you do it the first time and you go, wow, that's really easy. Even with polymer clay with resin, it really doesn't take much hand force to get through it. So I'm just going up in my sizes. I mean, I don't want a massive hole, but I do want a good size hole. It's an ornament, it's not a piece of jewelry. Maybe one more. That way later, if for some reason in 10 years the hook falls off and they want to put string through, you know, ornaments are like that, where you lose a hook because you've had them for so long and you got to put something else in to hold it up. I showed you my grandmother's, my great-grandmother's batch of ornaments I got when we were cleaning out her house. She passed this year, 2019, and she was, what, 95 or something? You know, so some of those ornaments are really old. And I mean, she had fishing line and twine and yarn and all different kinds of things on her ornaments. So sometimes you just make do when you can't find the hook that was supposed to be on it. Okay, so now we have a hole. And then I'm just going to slide this little hook. You can use yarn, whatever you want. Just like that. And I mean, you can wrap them more, but I don't think these are really meant to wrap more, these kind of hooks. But you can. Or you could use regular wire, even if you had wire. I'm trying to get my plier. So then I will just hang on a tree like that, obviously. So now all I need to do is just varnish the 2019 part so the mica doesn't come off. So I'm going to find a pretty small brush here. And I'm going to use the gloss glaze, the Sculpting gloss glaze, but you can, I believe you can bake these, but this is just to be dried. It's like a final coating. If you have mica and you're not going to resin, you can use glazes like this. This works fine. On jewelry, I just like the way resin feels on my fingers when I'm wearing the jewelry, which is why I do it. So I'm just going to put a little coat. I'm going to try not to get it on the background. And I may do 2 coats, just to make sure it's really covered, because I'm not trying to get it on the background unless I was going to coat the whole background, because you'll see it on the background. But you can make pretty much ornaments of anything, do any kind of background you want, use scrap veneers like I did today. I mean, that was just scrap cane pieces on a piece of clay, and I spiraled it up. That's all this background is, and I thought it looked cool, so I saved it. You probably saw it on a video a while back. My dogs are like being wicked impatient right now. They think it's, I can't say the word, but they think it's time for food. If I say the word, they'll get all excited, but it's not. It's only 4. They got an hour to go. Okay, so I'll let that dry. When it's dry, I'll do another coat, and I'll probably take a little alcohol and rub to get the rest of the mica off, but I didn't want to rub too much with alcohol. I did a little bit with a little alcohol in these brushes, but I wanted to wait until I sealed it, because then I don't worry about hitting the 2019 and taking the mica off the outside of the numbers. So I'm just going to let that dry and coat it, and then pretty much this guy is absolutely done. I mean, if you wanted something more glossy like the belt, you could apply some of this gloss glaze to that too, but I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, that's really just going to be my ornament for my mother-in-law, you know, and it will pretty much hang like that off a branch, straight like that. And she could, you know, if she wants it on a different branch, she could shorten this up to make it a little shorter. So that's what I like about metal hooks, even for my regular ornaments, is you can, if you have a branch and you need it to sit up higher, you can just bend the wires, which is why I like the wires. So there's my mother-in-law's ornament, and here's my sister-in-law's ornament for them this Christmas. So I hope that inspired you guys. to make something for the holidays. You know, my budget's pretty tight, so I can make things, but can't do a lot of buying. So, I mean, I have 4 nieces and nephews and mom and dad and my fiance's mom and sister and his dad and stepmom and it's like, it's just, and then grandparents, it's just so much. So I can make a lot of things. It just this way. So that's all I'm doing. I think that's it. Okay, I'll see you guys next time.